Hello YouTube, VG Time back with another profile. And first of all, let me just start off by saying how happy I am to have a channel playmat. This one I got from Ink Gaming. I'll leave a link down in the description, so if you want your own custom playmat, you can get one from them. Now the leader we're playing today is the Android 17 leader. This leader right here has a lot of potential even to this day. It was released in set 2, but its effect was actually fairly overpowered at that time. And as they printed more cards that support this archetype, they had to be super careful about how powerful they made them. So on the front side is Android 17 and has a permanent where it makes all Android 17s and 18 cost one less in your hand. So if they cost 3, it will cost 2, 4 cost 3, so on and so forth. Because of that skill, a lot of the times if there was a 2 cost to Android 17 or 18, they had to put double specified cost on it to make sure you at least had to pay 2 for it. Then it has an awakening skill that it allows it to awaken when you're at 6 life or less, where you get to draw 2 cards and flip it over. This again was the first leader with this ability to awaken at 6. On the back side, it becomes Diabolic Dual, Android 17 and 18. It has the same permanent as the front side where it reduces the costs of the 17 and 18. But also it has a permanent that if you're at 4 life or less, all 17 and 18s in play gain plus 5,000 attack. So it counts itself as well since it is Android 17 and 18. But it only counts itself once, so it goes up to 15,000. And then as a generic leader auto, when you attack, you draw a card. So because of that skill, it allowed them to print certain cards that on paper you looked at them and you was like, they're decent cards, but they're nothing special to write home about. But as soon as you made them cost 2 less, became strictly amazing. I'll show you an example by showing you the first card here. We have 4 copies of Deadly Defender Android 18. Now the Deadly Defender series was decent at the time. It allowed colors outside of blue to have a battle card that just sat in rest mode and protected the leader. She has the ability that when she's in rest mode, your opponent cannot attack the leader card until you destroy her. She's 20k with barrier, but on your opponent's turn, she's only 15k because she loses minus 5,000 attack. Now, in a generic green deck, this card is okay. It did the job, but it wasn't anything special. In this Android deck, she costs 2. It's a 20k barrier. And then if you're at 4 or less life on your opponent's turn, she is a 20k barrier that they have to get through in order to attack your leader. So you see like just that one difference in cost and those 2 permanent abilities, be better. Another card that made me think about this deck list and came out here in set 9 is 4 copies of Android 18 Covert Combatant. She's 20k barrier and critical. That's all it is. She would be decent in a deck in general, but because she is now a 2 cost 20k with barrier and critical, so you can see what I'm saying. So the next card, going with the Android 18s again, we have 4 copies of Android 18 Never Ending Energy. This card right here is has an auto that when you play it, you draw 2 cards. And then the last of the Android 18s we play in the deck are 4 copies of Android 18 Bionic Blitz. This is a super combo for the deck. It allows you, when you combo with her, to make your opponent take a card from their hand and put it on the bottom of the deck. Now, we also run Android 17s to take advantage of the permanent of the leader. We play 4 copies of Dreadful Duel Android 17. This one right here has a critical, and it has an activate main once per turn that if one of your opponent's battle cards with cost 3 or less goes to the drop area from anywhere due to your skill, then you get to pay a single green to put a 3 cost or less Android 18 from your hand to the battlefield. And then we play 2 copies of Twin Brother Android 17. This right here is a oldie but goodie that when it attacks, you can discard a card from your hand to restand the Android 18 that's in play. That's an auto once per turn, so you have to do it the first time you swing with them. You don't get to uh, restand it later in the turn and then swing and then choose to do it at a later time. So yeah, sequencing matters. Yeah, so next up, so it's not just generic Android beatdown. We have, for last Android 17, 3 copies of Android 17 Turning the Tide. This card right here is a house. Normally you would have to cast it for 7, but in this deck you cast it for 6. It has the flex, so there's not really a counterplay that affects that at all. And it has the auto that when you play it, both you and your opponent shuffle your hand into your deck, and your opponent shuffles their battle cards from their drop area into their deck. So this sets the game back to 0. But if you use your deck right and you do things the way you're supposed to, you can make it so that you come out of that exchange way further ahead than your opponent. And again, because it has critical, you can swing with it and not give your opponent cards. To help bring the whole deck together, we have 3 copies of Terrible Creator Android 20. This guy right here is your direct tutor for every card that I showed you previous to this. You just pay 2, play them, search your deck for a card with Android in his name, other than itself. Now for utility, we play 4 copies of Newfound Power Son Gohan. He is your Self-Awakening. You swing with him, you take a life, he gains plus 10k in critical. So that helps to put early pressure on your opponent and work on their hand size. For defense, we played 3 copies of Destined D Krillin. This is your free blocker, assuming that you have an Android 18 on the table. That's why we run so many, and also the leader on the backside counts as an Android 18. It has great synergy with the Deadly Defender Android 18, making it so your opponent has to waste even more attacks to get through to your leader. Next card for utility, I played 3 copies of Ultimate Judgement Jocko. This serves 2 purposes. One is just generic defense if your opponent tries to shotgun in on you and combo really high. This card is at base, usually a 15k combo by bouncing, their 110ks or even their super combos back to their hand if you know that's like the last attack they're making. Also, it serves a purpose because one of the strongest cards in today's meta is Bardock Raider's Warcry. So they usually combo with this, with that card, and you can use this card right here to bounce it back to their hand, and it's in essence counterplaying it, but for free. Then we play 2 copies of Furthering Destruction Champa. We have a lot of critical on the deck, so you might as well use it. Then further for defense, we play 4 copies of Weast Coercion. This is a negate that just untaps a energy after you negate with it. 4 copies of Senzu Bean. This right here is, of course, great defensively, as we know, but it is also great offensively to be able to untap your energy and use them to play your cheapened threats. And last but not least, we have 2 copies of Bufuba. This helps us get around the large boss monsters of the opponent. But I went with Bufuba because I want to keep the blue count high enough. So as you can see, this deck has no SRs, no SCRs. It's just basically common, uncommon, and rare. So it's a very budget build, but it does get the job done, especially if you're a decent pilot at this game. So this is a good starting point. On my Instagram at some point, I'll show you an upgraded version. So make sure you follow me on Instagram. And again, thank you for stopping by. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you again. Fiji time out.